From the St. Louis Public Radio newsroom, this is The Gateway. It's Thursday, May 23rd. I'm Abby Larico. Researchers at Washington University have found that COVID-19 vaccines last a long time and trigger a natural function called imprinting.
This will help us predict perhaps how often we need to be boosted.
Insights into the future of protection against COVID-19 coming up on The Gateway. The Riverfront Times is no more, at least in its current state. St. Louis Public Radio's Eric Schmid reports Big Lou Media, which acquired the RFT last August, has sold the paper to an undisclosed buyer.
The sale of the RFT comes with the layoffs of its entire reporting and editing staff. Former executive editor Sarah Fenske calls the decision devastating for St. Louis journalism.
There were so many times that people would call me and say, I know that only the RFT could do this story.
Fenske says the new owner, who was not disclosed to her or the former staff, wasn't interested in retaining any of them.
We go out with our heads held high knowing that we did good work, but it's over. Nobody wants that work as of today.
The RFT started in 1977 and had become a magnet for stories about the people, food, and music of St. Louis, as well as a publication that broke news on many of the region's challenges. I'm Eric Schmid, St. Louis Public Radio.
The Special School District of St. Louis County is being accused of failing to ensure students with disabilities have the proper programs and assistance. In a new complaint filed with the Missouri State Board of Education, parents say the special district isn't adequately helping students with disabilities who struggle to attend school due to mental health issues. Amanda Schneider is managing attorney with the Education Justice Program that filed the complaint and says the school district must be more intentional.
What it is leading to is literally school push out. It is happening before our very eyes. They'll say attendance is not an observable behavior, which we vehemently disagree with.
The special school district declined to speak specifically about the complaint, but says they're committed to providing a safe and nurturing learning environment for all students. Washington University librarians and researchers have launched an interactive story mapping project to help St. Louisans explore the rich history of Asian Americans in the area. Asia in St. Louis tells the story of the earliest Chinese immigrants in St. Louis and highlights the impact of the once thriving Asian business corridor downtown. People can also learn about the role Asian Americans played within local political and social movements. David Romney is a WashU librarian who edited the project.
These essays are kind of a gateway to greater understanding and appreciation for really the rich cultural fabric that we have here in St. Louis.
Romney hopes the digital project gives Asians in the area a greater connection to the community. Smoke from Canadian wildfires has already impacted the Midwest and Great Plains early in the fire season. As St. Louis Public Radio's Kate Grumke reports, that's after an especially bad season last year.
Widespread drought is setting up another potentially intense wildfire season in Canada. The fire season has already sent smoke south. Dr. Juanita Mora is watching the air quality closely. The Chicago-based immunologist and allergist says last year's smoke caused problems for her patients.
I saw many cases in which it was their first time, never had an asthma exacerbation, came in with wheezing and respiratory difficulty and shortness of breath.
Mora is also a national spokesperson for the American Lung Association. She says people should keep an eye on air quality with a weather app and stay indoors if pollution is high. That's especially true for sensitive groups. I'm Kate Grumke, St. Louis Public Radio.
A new study at Washington University is examining how yearly vaccines for COVID-19 affect someone's ability to fight the virus. So far, the data suggest people who receive repeated COVID-19 vaccines don't lose their ability to fight the virus. WashU infectious disease specialist Dr. Michael Diamond talked to St. Louis On the Air host Elaine about his research. He says the vaccines benefit from a process called imprinting.
The concept of imprinting is essentially how immunologic memory works. And so the first vaccine that somebody receives induces an immune response. And part of that immune response is you have cells. They're called B cells. These are the ones that ultimately generate antibody. But these B cells also stay around for long periods of time in different places, usually in lymphoid organs like lymph nodes and other places. Mm-hmm. And then a second time you may get vaccinated, those cells can remember immunologically remember the first protein that they saw, and then they can respond very rapidly. That's memory. And the reason why we have that is so that if we get infected a second time, we're much more poised to respond quickly so that we can rapidly control an infection. And that's the whole premise of it.
And what you did find is something that seems to a lay person, in any case, really remarkable. And the study found that imprinting was actually having a positive effect as it drives expansion of cross-neutralizing antibodies. That's a quote from that study. Now, those antibodies are a big deal because they inhibit emerging variants and distantly related sarbecoviruses. So those distantly related viruses and emerging variants, it sounds like you're saying our bodies can protect itself against those too?
Yeah, that was, I guess, the most surprising thing. We expected that we would get protection against the variant. We were thinking that we might get protection that was mediated by specific antibodies, but in fact, as I said, they were shaped by the original one, so they're all cross-reactive, and now they cross-react to the variant that was in the vaccine, but they also cross-neutralized other variants, ones that were even came after the vaccine, that were even newer variants, if you will. What was really surprising was that these variants had driven the antibody response to such a cross-reactive state that they could actually neutralize viruses that are not yet in circulation, that are what we call pre-emergent viruses in the family, which are present in many of these different related viruses. And now these cross-reactive antibodies that are driven by the boost that you received are actually able to inhibit not only the variants that existed at the time of the vaccine, ones that exist now, and then ones that we anticipate will exist in the future, and even ones that might come with a new pandemic virus if it ever occurred.
Mm-hmm. So what are the implications then of this study? I mean, does it change the big picture about boosters, for COVID-19, getting stronger?
Well, it's not so much that they're getting stronger. I think that the magnitude of the response is not actually perhaps as strong as just when you've got the vaccine the first time, because the cross-reactive responses are different than what we call type-specific or focused just on one virus. What we're driving is this breadth of response. And one key question that we don't know is how long do these last? And so early in the pandemic, we saw rapid increases and rapid decreases, in part necessitated the frequency of the boosters. Over time, what we've seen is a more durable response. What we don't know is, are these cross-reactive, cross-neutralizing antibodies, how durable are they? We looked at a relatively early time point. These people are still being followed, who were the ones that were sampled. And I think we need to know over time, how long do these cross-neutralizing antibodies last? This will help us predict perhaps how often we need to be boosted.
That's Dr. Michael Diamond, infectious disease specialist at Washington University, speaking with St. Louis on the Air host Elaine Cha. The Gateway is a production of St. Louis Public Radio, a listener-supported service of the University of Missouri-St. Louis. Music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. I'm Abby Larico, and from the St. Louis Public Radio newsroom, this has been The Gateway.